Get Brooks.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Yeah.
It's May 25th.
May 25th.
Happy Memorial Day.
It is Memorial Day, that's right.
Yes, I know. It's kind of weird. We almost forgot all about it because how strange everything has been. I didn't even realize it was Memorial Weekend until a friend of ours on Wednesday said, "What are you doing for the holiday weekend?" And I said, "What are you talking about? It's like weeks away." Nope, it's Monday.
Everything's out of sorts. So
It is.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to everyone that served in honor of Memorial Day.
Yep, the
Really
vets, the current enlisted people,
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So we decided to come back because we went and took a COVID vacation.
Yeah. I don't know if I go vacation.
Yeah, well, we took a little trip,
Yeah.
a little road trip to,
Kind of a test run, really.
to beautiful South Dakota, the home state of Mark Brooks.
Yes. I think it's my favorite state.
Oh, come on now. You got California on your shirt right now.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
My mom and stepdad bought a beautiful fifth wheel. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a... What kind of camper is it?
Well, it's a toy hauler.
Yeah, I understand that, but what's the brand? Fusion?
Keystone.
Keystone Fusion. Thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It legitimately cost more than our first townhouse.
No,
It was so expensive.
Not
They're
true.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those Quakers.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's so freaking gorgeous.
It's really nice.
And they wanted to do the first test run with Mark. Let's be honest, not me. I just got to come along for the ride. Before they took it out on the open road, the two of them, as they're both now retired, and
It is a big rig. There's no doubt about it.
40 feet or
Yeah,
something
it's
like
about
that.
40 feet.
Full kitchen, master bedroom.
Two bathrooms.
4 flat screen TVs. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
So
it's cool.
super baller.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Happy for them. It's got a toy hauler. It's got a party deck.
Yeah.
Like, it's rocking.
They can bring their motorcycles or the Ranger
Yep.
or,
Yes.
or us. I
Or
guess.
us, yeah, and our dogs,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so we kind of stepped out on a limb and took the risk, if you will, and decided to check out, I don't know if, I'm assuming many of you know that South Dakota did not have any stay-in-place order, anything like that. They've just remained open through this whole pandemic.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kind of a caveat there because the governor didn't issue any orders, or the government didn't issue any orders per se, but people could, business owners could make their own decision. So there was stuff that was closed.
Yeah, definitely.
They just decided that they were going to stay closed during the pandemic, and that's their choice.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, we had talked about, to understand the facts. Like, obviously there's a very big difference between South Dakota and Minnesota, even population-wise.
Yeah, South Dakota is the poster child for social and physical distancing.
Yeah, they've been doing it since day one.
Yeah,
Since they became a state.
Just by its nature.
Yeah.
It's your.
Yeah, because there's roughly only 884,000 people total in the population of South Dakota.
The whole state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where Minnesota has about 5.6 million population.
Not really comparable.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So we hit the open road and went to Spearfish.
Yep.
Camped at the KOA.
Yep. Spearfish is on the north end of the Black Hills. And
Absolutely
it's
beautiful.
near Rapid City, which is the second largest city in South Dakota. Just for reference, anyway. Spearfish is beautiful.
It is.
It's kind of the desired area in that part of the state. If you're going to live in Rapid City or the Black Hills area, Spearfish is kind of the spot.
It's kind of the elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we think we realized why while we were there. Not only is it just gorgeous, but as we were there, it was raining quite a bit. But since they're on the north end of the Black Hills, they didn't get as much rain. You could see along that eastern edge of the Black Hills, it would be constantly raining all day.
Yeah.
But on the north end, where it doesn't have those mountains to cool off the air and everything like that, no issues.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing because the one day we did venture into Rapid City, which we'll talk about, it was pouring rain, and then we got back to the campsite and it's sunny and beautiful, and we sat outside and barbecued and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really gorgeous. And then as we did Spearfish Canyon, right? Canyon, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yep.
That's amazing. We're going to edit that
Nope.
out. Everybody knows what I meant. Buchanan, Buchanan, same shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, as we drove through that, the homes, the real estate property was just incredible.
It's beautiful there.
I mean, it just, and then we stopped at, what was the place that we stopped at? Bridals something?
Bridal Falls?
Yes, that was really beautiful.
Yeah, we'll have to insert a picture in
Yep,
there.
insert picture.
Yep. So, yeah, it's gorgeous. South Dakota is just kind of
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is,
you know?
especially that area.
Yeah.
But so we like we said, we went into Rapid City, and the reason we wanted to kind of come on and talk about it, not just talk about our little road trip, but since there was no stay in place or order or anything like that. Everything was open. Almost everything was open, including the restaurants, the bars, the shops. Some were closed.
Yeah.
Some were,
Yep.
but there was quite a few, and I was really shocked. And again, to kind of talk about the facts, so the population of Rapid City is about 75,000, which is pretty equivalent if you're in Minnesota to like Plymouth.
Yeah.
And we decided that we were going to eat lunch in a restaurant. We wanted to see what it would be like. At this time, Governor Walz had not lifted anything here in the state of Minnesota when we were there. Oh. And just pure curiosity of what it looked like to be back to normal.
And it's not normal.
It's not normal, but the new normal, I guess.
Yeah. And it was just interesting to see that they were basically following CDC guidelines.
Yes.
As a restaurant.
Yeah. So, I think we both had very different experiences or feelings, if you will. Okay. I had horrible anxiety. Yeah. I was super nervous. And I was not nervous. I want to clarify about getting sick. It was more about just the change, the environment, and really the shame. What were people going to say? What were they going to think? I'm so sick of everyone's entitled to their opinion, and we support that. And if you want to social distance and you don't want to work and you don't want to go out, that's totally fine with you.
Yeah.
We feel very differently about that, right?
Yep.
And I was I didn't post. I made one small post, but I didn't post anything on any of our social media sites. I was just so nervous and anxious leading up to going into, even on the way there when we were driving, going into some of these gas stations and truck stops and things like that. I just all of a sudden became very aware that there is a risk, right? There is a risk.
There's always a risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could catch anything, but so that was just kind of my feeling once we started walking down the kind of the main street in Rapid City, which we've been before and we love it and it's super cute. That was my first kind of panic, I don't know if I can do this, I'm super nervous. And I remember I was the first one to open the door into the restaurant and just feeling so overwhelmed and I may be sitting in the truck. I'm not going to ruin everybody else's time, but if I feel like I physically cannot handle this, I might go sit in the truck.
Interesting. Yeah.
What was your thought immediately?
Mine was just more out of curiosity. I didn't have any feelings. I think we're always on high alert now, and we're always trying to take precautions, and we're careful about what we're touching and how close we are to people. So that was heightened because I hadn't been in that environment in 2 months.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a restaurant in 2 months. So I was just kind of taking it all in, and I was curious I was just watching what employees were doing and what other patrons in the restaurant were doing and stuff like that. And it is different. It's just different.
Very different. Yeah.
It's exactly what I kind of expected it was, though.
Yes.
So it was interesting to see that happen firsthand.
For me, it wasn't at all what I had expected. It was far more relaxing. Like, they weren't relaxing on the guidelines. I just felt more relaxed once I entered in.
Yeah.
And to kind of like, so paint the scene, we walk into the restaurant.
Right.
All of the staff has masks on.
Yep.
The bartender, one of the hosts, they had gloves on, and they were changing them out frequently as they were touching things.
Right.
We enter in. The main host greets us, and then there's another young man host that was wiping off the menus, and they handed them to us directly.
Yep.
They brought us over to a table.
Yep.
All the tables, it was every other table.
Mm-hmm.
So every other table, and then they had this, and we'll post a picture that basically said this table in between the other two tables is not to be occupied due to social distancing, and there were no chairs around it.
Right.
Because in my head, I kept thinking, how in the hell are we going to do this? All these restaurants are going to, take out all these tables? Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, they're going to have to go down to, not even half, less than half the capacity, a third or whatever it is to accommodate this. And I always, when I'm thinking of this, I think of like our two favorite places. I think of Baja House and I think of Belcourt. Yeah, like how are we going to do this, right? And so I thought that was really interesting because I did not in my head play out just remove the chairs and put the sign there.
Right.
It was relatively busy. I know the upper level, which I didn't realize until I used the restroom, was actually quite full.
Oh.
And then there was like a little back part of the restaurant because we sat right in the bar area.
It looked empty from where I sat.
Yeah, and then when I walked around, the whole back where the booths were, every other booth had someone in it.
Yep.
And then the upper level, there was probably 4 or 5 tables up there that were occupied.
Yep.
So in the bar, there was 3 different sets of people seated at the bar.
Right.
So there was 2 chairs and there'd be 6 feet and there was like an X on the bar.
Yep.
2 chairs, X.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep. So you could go in as a group, but that was it. You would be sequestered from all other groups, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And then there was 2 other sets of high tops on the other side of the bar from us. Mm-hmm. And I took a lot of pictures because more for, like, I wanted to be able to share with, like, Josh from Baja. Like, I was really interested in, like, to show him, like, what that looked like. So I do have a lot of pictures and we'll post some of them. But once we got in there and you could tell they were following the guidelines, our server came over. She just stood at the edge of the table. We were at a long rectangular high top table, like a typical bar table. She stood at the back. She had her own scarf on covering her face.
Yep.
And it just felt fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, all my anxiety went away. It could have been the Chardonnay, but still.
I somewhat expected, what I really expected when we walked in was that we're in South Dakota. They're not going to take precautions.
Okay. Interesting.
And
like
so
the Wild Wild West?
Kind
or
of.
What?
Yeah. I mean, because there's no restrictions, right?
Yeah.
So, and, in my head, when you hear all this stuff on the media and all this, and, this state's not doing that, or this state's doing this, and you just never know. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that they were taking the precautions.
Absolutely.
So, without being forced to, they did it. Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was a really great experience, and I definitely think we can do it. And I'm really, really disappointed that Governor Walz, and I hope it changes, that we're only going to do outdoor seating. That is so ridiculous to me. Like, we just need to, in my opinion, I'm sorry, we need to just move forward. We have to move forward. We have to rip the Band-Aids off. These restaurants are suffering. They're a key point and piece of our community.
Right.
I posted something a while back that, once in a while these people come into your lives and they change your lives forever. And those people are bartenders, and that is a real thing.
Yeah. Right. No, it's disappointing for sure. I've been a vocal supporter of Walz through this whole thing up until about, maybe a week ago.
Yeah, which is really surprising because you did not vote for him.
I did not vote for him.
Yeah.
But I think, even before COVID, I was like, you know what? This guy's good.
Yeah.
He seems to do the right thing quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I think he truly does care.
I would agree with that.
I think it's just a little too cautious at this point. Just from what we seem to know about this disease and the virus, it seems that it's very easy to contract, right? Mm-hmm. And being aware of that, I think the social distancing guidelines are great, particularly if your immune system is compromised,
Absolutely.
or you have a pre-existing condition that would, asthma or anything like that, heart disease or whatever,
Or even if you just have concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a valid
Yeah.
concern, if you are concerned, and that is your freedom and your choice.
Right. Well,
and the same for us.
Right.
If we choose to put ourselves in a circumstance or in a restaurant or Hobby Lobby, my God, I miss Hobby Lobby. Like, that should be my right. Like,
Yeah.
why is it that I can tool around Total Wine and Home Depot with no thought, that stupid candy store at 200 some people, but I can't go eat at my favorite restaurant? That just, it blows my mind. It's so infuriating to me.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I think these businesses should be allowed to open their business.
They should.
It shouldn't be taken away from them. And then the other businesses, if you don't want to open, don't open.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your if that's your perspective and you're afraid for your customers, or you don't think that
your
you
staff or whomever,
yep,
yourself,
you don't think that you can handle that, then don't. That's fine.
Yep.
That's totally fine. And that's your choice.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It made me sad. It made me long for that connection, because we do a lot of socializing out. It is who we are. It's been a little bit slower, but we work very long hours. Most nights we're not done till 7, 8 o'clock sometimes. And the last thing we want to do is cook. So we do choose to eat out.
Yeah.
It's just kind of part of our lifestyle. And we've made great friends at these establishments, not only with the staff and the ownership, but, just the customers as well. And
right.
it's such a bummer not being able to see them, I feel like Cheers is closed down and I'm sad and I need to get back to my bar.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the drinking. It's literally about the sense of community. So yeah, I think could be something to be learned from that. And I think if, it was more fact-based and other people did test runs, and we saw a lot of people this weekend that Wisconsin opened up, and a lot of people went to Wisconsin this weekend.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah.
But so, and I'm curious to see how that went. What did that look like? To me, that actually did seem a little too wild west and free falling, and everybody was just kind of scrunched together and a little crazy to me. But again, that's their choice, and that's what people wanted to do. I can see it being a little, for a while, maybe we continue some social distancing, and if people are uncomfortable, that's how we handle it, and I think that's fine.
Well, I think our trip to South Dakota just proved that it can be done, and what their governor said, she said that I trust the people of South Dakota
Mm-hmm.
to do the right thing. I'm not going to impose anything forced, but I trust the people to make their own decisions and do the right thing. And
yeah.
There wasn't a single circumstance while we were there that was anything different than what we've experienced under these orders.
Yes.
In Minnesota. Like, nothing was lax. There was
No. Everything was really respectful.
But they were just open.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I don't see why we can't do that. And I think the people of Minnesota can also be trusted to make their own decisions, and that sort of thing. So, I still like Governor Walz. I think he's still a great guy. I think he's trying to flatten the curve a little too much at this point. What are we going to, I don't know what your basis points are for why we can open and how are we not there yet? We've already flattened the curve. This has been 2 months. When this first happened, I was expecting 2 weeks.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, and I think too, like a friend of ours brought up the point where after the first time they shut the government down, it kept happening and it kept continuing. And is that something they're going to keep doing with us? Are they going to keep putting the shelter in place? Are they going to keep putting these orders in place? And that is a little terrifying. There's a lot of freedoms that are being stripped.
Spearfish Canyon, here we come.
Yeah, I know. So, side note, every time we travel somewhere, and Mark loves it, he says we're moving there.
Oh.
He literally goes on the internet and starts looking at real estate.
Well, it's not like we travel to crappy places.
Very true.
So,
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as of last week, we were moving to Rapid City.
Yeah. Spearfish, man.
I mean, I guess that's, one of the benefits, or I don't know, if, till death do us part, because I'd have to go.
Yep.
Willing or not, I don't know.
I just love it there. It's
beautiful.
Just a nice view to look at.
Yeah.
Vistas and views and wildlife, and it's just, you get a sense of really being somewhere that's not as, I don't know, just not as
there's a very simple
planned. It's it's just, you feel maybe back to nature a little bit or something, I mean
Can we be back to nature in Aspen instead?
No.
Okay.
I love Aspen.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there just has to be, again, it comes down to facts and not things being spun, and we all know the media blows things out of proportion, and they're just taking it to a whole new level. And once you go out, and it is to being respectful. Like, we were respectful. We sat down respectfully. We wanted that. We wanted that as well. I don't necessarily want to be shoved into a crowd either. You just don't know. But I think taking it to a different level and learning more and seeing how this works, I don't know, I'm ready to get back to a new normal, because I know it's not going to be normal for a really long time, and we have to look at the past in order to learn for the future. Like, I'm a very big believer in that in my own life and my business. You learn from your failure and your mistakes, and they're not necessarily a bad thing. It's something that happened, then you just move forward. So what can we learn from this, and how can we move forward?
Yeah.
Because 100%. There's a lot of other things that are happening right now other than just the virus. I mean, mental health is lacking. Suicides are up. People are struggling. It's really difficult.
Well, the flip side of that too, are people are actually suffering from other medical conditions because they can't go in to the doctor.
Yep.
Like if you had a hip surgery planned.
Yep.
I mean, come on, a hip surgery basically leaves you immobile. If you're not getting it done,
if you're supposed to have your gallbladder out, like, there's a lot of things that need to be done that we're not. I mean, obviously, if it turns into an emergency situation, but a lot of times when it becomes an emergency situation, it's life or death, or it's too late. Yeah. Yep.
So
and I think a lot of people think by not doing it, was it pre-existing surgeries or things like that. A few people that I talked to were like, well, I think they thought it was plastic surgery.
Right.
Like, that's not what that was. That's not what that meant to be.
Elective surgery.
Elective surgery. Yeah. And a lot of people, was kind of naive to that, or didn't understand. No, it's not a bunch of people waiting to get their boobs done.
No,
it's actual, like, surgeries, like knees, hips, shoulders, rotator cuffs, like things like that. It wasn't plastic surgery.
Right.
Like, you can wait. Believe me, I know.
Right.
But so there's just a lot of other things that are happening, and obviously this is just our opinions. We are not doctors.
Right.
I mean, I can't even say cannon right, so that's awesome.
Well,
Canyon.
Yeah.
I just think we need to move forward and find a different route.
Right. Because I think other things are suffering, and we're not getting the numbers on those things. We get the daily numbers of the COVID update and how many cases are confirmed and how many deaths and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're not getting the daily tally of, people who are hurting in other ways as a result of this.
Well, and then you can spin it to the, same thing, that people are just being marked as COVID deaths, and not everybody is believing that's what they died from. They may have tested positive, maybe that's not what they died from. So you just never know what to believe. And that, for me, that's really unsettling. Like, what is the actual truth? There's three sides. My dad told me, my dad, Tom, shout out to my dad. He said, there's always three sides to every story: his, hers, and the truth. Yeah. Which is so true.
It's totally true.
So.
Well, the numbers are misleading. I don't think that, at least in the case of Minnesota, I have pretty good faith in the state of Minnesota and the way that they're doing it. I think they're being very upfront, and they have started adding probable COVID death.
Okay, that's good.
If it wasn't, they're not sure. It was never tested positive, but they think it was. So they are separating that now, and I think because of questions like that, they don't want to just stamp it COVID and pass it on. So I think that's a very honest approach, which is great.
Yeah.
So It's not that I don't trust what they're doing. I just disagree with it at this point.
Yeah, as do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had an opportunity to get the personal protective gear out. That's already been increased. That's not a concern anymore.
Yeah, I was just able to order masks, gloves, booties for our open houses, because now we're allowed to do open houses, and everything will arrive within the next 5 days.
Yeah.
So, which is great. So now we're able to get all those things to do take precautionary methods.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we were doing anyway. But
yeah, we were. But now it was able to do it in larger bulk.
Yeah.
You know,
Luckily, we had a supply because I happened to carry.
My doomsday prepper husband.
Yeah. I did. No, it's construction. You know, when we do stuff around the house, I always like to have masks and gloves and all that stuff. And I just happened to have some. We saved, I think, 3 of them for personal use out of this huge box that I had, and we donated the rest really early on. I mean, this is mid-March that we donated.
Right after we got back from San Diego.
So
yeah,
well, that's good. I didn't know that you ordered that, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we're ready.
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting with us and following along with us. Definitely let us know if you have any questions or thoughts, because we're happy to talk with you.
We'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this.
Sure.
You know, we're kind of limited to our small circle.
Yeah.
You know, but being opened up on the internet.
Yes.
We're
gonna be all right.
Yeah. Now maybe we can get some other people's feedback.
Yeah, we love your feedback. We love your questions, concerns, thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us if we're wrong. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, you can call us a bunch of assholes. We don't care.
Yeah, we're used to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for following along. Definitely rate and subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And we look forward to seeing you again here soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.